preparing for everything.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. And before going to start this database administration, so I just want to give some brief idea about what is data and what is database, what is DBMS and RDBMS. Data is nothing but it's a collection of all the raw facts. Means whatever the inputs that are giving, that will come under data.
Okay.
And the collection of all the processed data, we'll call it as database.
Okay.
Okay. So these all the data will be processed and it will be stored in the form of database objects. The objects are like tables, views, synonyms, etc.
Okay.
And the software which is going to manage all these processed data is nothing but database management system.
Okay.
Okay. In 1985, EF-COD introduced a relationship database management system which will maintain the relationship across all the data.
Okay.
So it is nothing but relational database management system.
Yeah, RDBMS, yeah.
Yeah. He also put a condition like the each and every RDBMS has to follow some certain rules.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The rules are nothing but information rule. So information rule is nothing but whatever the data that is inside the database that will be stored in the form of tables or objects. And second one is rule of guaranteed access. Rule of guaranteed access means whatever the data that is inside the table, we should be able to access the data. Suppose you are storing a data in some employee table, so you should be able to access that data by means of queries and all. And third one is systematic treatment of null value. Suppose you are storing some data. If there is any missing information in the data, that will be handled through null values. There is no information, so it will be stored as null values kind of thing.
Okay. Default, yeah.
Yeah, default, yeah. And fourth one is database description rule. Database description rule is nothing but, so whatever the data that is inside the tables can be accessed through database tables. We have some tables like DBA views, VDollar views and all. Okay. So all these data which is inside the tables can be accessed through all the views, database tables or data dictionary tables. It's nothing but database description rule.
Okay.
And next one is comprehensive sublanguage. Comprehensive sublanguage is nothing but, so we should be able to perform the different operations like DML operations. DML operations is nothing but insert, update, delete, match, and DDL operations. DDL is nothing but create, alter, drop, truncate, rename. And DCL operations, which is nothing but, do you have idea about the DDL, DML and all, right?
Yes, I know that one, yeah. They're common in SQL as well, yeah. SQL.
Yeah. Okay. DCL and TCL operations. DCL is nothing but it's like any idea DCL?
I know DML, DDL. What is DCL? Is it data? What is this?
Okay. DML is nothing but data manipulation language and DDL is nothing but data definition language. DCL is nothing but data control language, which is nothing but commit, rollback and save point.
Okay, begin and those type of things.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Data control language. TCL is nothing but transactional control language. Transaction control language is nothing but we are controlling the transactions. So which is nothing but commit, rollback and save point. And data control language is nothing but, so we are performing like grant and revoke. So you are giving some grant access to one person and you are revoking the access from that person. So that is nothing but data control language.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Next one is view update. View is nothing but it's a logical representation of the data in the form of single table or group of tables.
Yes, yeah.
So, yeah. Suppose the group of tables will be merged in the query, SQL query, and the SQL query will be placed in the form of view. So the people will be able to access the view. It's nothing but view logical representation of the database objects. And next one is insert and update rule. So whatever the operations that are like insert and update, so we should be able to perform in the database. Okay. Like insert and update operations also we should be able to perform. And next one is physical independence rule. The physical independence rule is nothing but about storage. So all the database objects will be stored in the storage inside the database.
Yes, yeah.
The logical data independence rule is nothing but logically it's storing in somewhere. Okay, by means of table spaces and that. So these two we'll discuss in the further topics.
Okay, yeah.
And next one is integrity independence rule. Integrity independence rule is nothing but we have different types of integrity constraints like unique, not null, primary key and foreign key. So we should be able to maintain all these integrity constraints across the data.
Okay.
And next one is data distribution rule. So the data distribution rule is nothing but so whatever the data that is processed inside the database, we should be able to distribute from one system to another system. So whatever the data we can able to access by means of database links or somewhere network link or kind of that, we should be able to distribute the data as well. And now subversion rule. Whatever the features available in the previous version, we should be able to use those features in the further versions also.
Okay.
These rules are comes under RDBMS rules. So if any of the RDBMS follows at least 7 rules, then it will call this one as a relational database management system.
Okay.
So here whatever the administration related to the RDBMS we are going to discuss in our database administration course.
Okay, yeah.
Any doubts in these rules or?
No.
Okay, good. Are you able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Here it is the administration of the basic enterprise edition is like this. It's a Oracle 9.9. So it has the features of like partitioning, Oracle Enterprise Management Packs, real-time application cluster, and advanced security. And Oracle 9.9 is nothing but which will be used for our application development. So we should be able to access our application, we should be able to access our database through application. So it has the features like Oracle Enterprise Manager Packs. Oracle Enterprise Manager Packs is nothing but there are some packages that will be installed in our Oracle 9.8 database. So by means of those packages, we should be able to access our database through some URL or front end. So we should be able to do some manipulations in the database through our application.
Okay, some sort of application interface. Yeah, I got it here.
Yeah.
That means application is directly pointing to the Oracle backend database, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So you should be able to monitor our database. You should be able to tune our queries, or you should be able to identify what are the top 10 queries or something like that. So all this will be in the front end.
This is an Oracle Enterprise, right? Oracle
Yeah,
Enterprise
OEM.
interface to control the administer the database, right?
Exactly. Yeah, OEM.
So,
Yeah.
so it's an extra pack, or it will include it in the Oracle, like Oracle software.
It will be included in Oracle software, but we need to install those OEM.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and we need to set our ports and everything for that.
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And second one is partitioning. Partitioning nothing but suppose you have a table, the data is coming and you are storing in the table. So here, so you need to manage the data inside the table. Some some sort of partitioning, like table partitioning and index partitioning. Like whenever the storing the data, some sort of data should be stored in the part of single partition, and some whenever you are retrieving the data, so based on that partition you should be able to retrieve the data. Means dividing our data into different groups. It's nothing but partitioning.
Okay.
Okay. And the third one is real-time application cluster. So the basic RAG concepts we are going to discuss here. The real-time application cluster will be used to maintain the high availability of the database. Okay. So whenever the one instance goes down, another instance will come up, and we are giving 100% availability for the database by means of RAG. Okay. And next one is advanced security. In the advanced security, we are maintaining different types of security mechanisms, client to server and server to server security, and encrypting our data. So by means of all this security will be discussed here. So to available for this advanced security, we need to install some additional packages. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. For for encrypting the data, like say, but to store in the encrypted format or something. What do you mean by encryption? Like
encryption, like suppose our passwords will be stored in the form of encryption, and when you are accessing the, yeah, when you are accessing the data from the client, there should be some security levels. So client to server and server to server security. To maintain that type of security, also we are using this advanced security.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a licensed one. We have to purchase this advanced security option from the Oracle. Okay. Additionally, we have to purchase.
Yeah. And what about the so for the enterprise manager also we need to purchase an extra package, or like we can just download and install it?
We have to purchase OEM.
OEM also we need to purchase. Okay,
Yeah,
software. It's a free one. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. And next one is this is the basic our version of the database, like 92010. Okay. So whatever the inputs that are coming, we are discussing here. Let me. The first one will discuss about what is the major database release number. So it's a 9A database, then it will represent as a 9. If it is 10G, it will represent as 10. If it is 11G, 11, like that. Okay. Next one is maintenance release number. What is your maintenance release number? So suppose if you are upgrading, then it will move to another maintenance release. And application server release number. So these are all will be maintained by Oracle in order to track any issues, or if they get any tickets, like the kind of thing. They will use to check what are the patches installed and what are the components installed in our database, and what are the port specification, platform specification, release numbers. Okay, all these will come under release number. So whenever you are applying some patches, then it will upgrade to some different number. So those will be useful for our Oracle guys. So whenever there is a severity request is raised, so in order to access that one, it will be used. Okay. Okay. The basic tasks of our database administrator is plan and create database. So we before creating our database, we need to plan accordingly. So what is the storage and what is our requirement? How much RAM you are going to use? What are the CPUs? So everything we need to consider and create our database. It's our administrator task. And managing the database availability. Suppose we are creating the database. If you are not maintaining the availability, that's it's administrator risk. So we need to ensure 100% availability of the database.
Okay.
And also we need to check the physical and logical structures. So how the data is storing physically in the database and how it is logically storing, how we are accessing the data logically. So all this will be taken care by the administrator. And also next one is maintaining security. Suppose you have created a database. If everybody able to access all the tables and everything, so it's like it's not under your control. So everybody can able to do anything, even developers also. So we have to maintain some set of security rules to access our data. Suppose the developer wants only few tables, then give access to only few tables. If suppose our another team like administration, like app administration team, they want to access only application related tables, so they give only access to that application tables. So this is will come under security. And next one is network administration. Network administration is nothing but, suppose you created a database. Someone has to access the database by means of network. So you need to establish the network between our database to our client. So you need to maintain the DNS entries and all. And next one is backup and recovery. So backup and recovery is a key role here. Like suppose you created the database, so you have to take the backup and you should be able to recover the database also in case of any failures. And next one is database tuning. Database is tuning like heart of the database. Suppose you have created the database and someone is accessing an application team or development team. They are giving some queries and they are executing the queries. But you should be able to identify the queries which is taking long time, which is a bad query and everything. So and we should be able to tune that queries, or should be able to tune the parameters. What is our SG? What is our memory parameter? Whether our memory is good or not. So all these tasks will come under database administration.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Next one is Oracle Universal Installer. So whenever you want to install or upgrade or create or all these things, so this will be performed by OUI, Oracle Universal Installer, and it will be like Java engine. So it will allows the web-based installation, and whenever you want to deinstall the components or whenever you want to upgrade, so that time this will comes under picture. Okay.
Okay.
Universal installer. And next one is database administration users. Whenever you are creating the database, there are two users like sys and system will be created automatically. Okay. Sys is nothing but it's a main user, so which will have all the data dictionary tables. Means whenever you are creating the table, some tables like in order to access our internal Oracle related tables, so some tables will be created. Those tables will be accessed through system, sys user. And there will be like some additional views will be created. Like those views will be accessed through system user.
Okay.
So we have like data dictionary tables, $V views, $GB views, those kind of things. So those will be accessed through a system or sys user. Or else if you want to access through another user, you have to grant the permission. Whenever the other user will be will be able to access these tables, data dictionary or internal tables or views. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And next one is SQL Place. Suppose you have created the database and there should be some client should be able to access our database. So the client is nothing but SQL Place. So SQL Place you should be able to connect to our database, and you should be able to start up or shut down the database. So whenever you just connected to our database, and it will prompt to whether you want to start our database or not, like that. So here I have connected to SQL Place /no-log, then it's connected to SQL Place. Here I have connected to
what do you mean by no-log?
No log is nothing but it's just connected to SQL Place. It's not yet connected to our database.
Okay.
SQL Place is nothing but just SQL prompt is available, and you have connected to our client, SQL Place client. Okay. Then
Okay.
if you
SQL
want
Place
to
of client. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you want to enter into your database, you have to provide your credentials. So connect
Okay.
/ sys DBA is nothing but, so it's connected to sys database, sys user.
Yes.
Slash is
Sys
nothing
user?
but yeah, sys user. Yeah.
And what about the
credentials-
DBA?
Yeah, if you want to connect to like a DBA user or kind of thing, then you have to give connect DBA user / your password. Or
Okay.
else if you want to connect to system user, connect system password followed by your authentication. Here the database is not yet started, then it's showing as ideal instance. So whenever you want to start the database, or whenever you want to shut down the database or running some queries, every operations will be performed in the SQL Place level.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And next one is like the Oracle server can run in different types of ways, like host based, client based, and browser based. So we'll discuss one by one in the next topics. Like it's a host based. Suppose your database, everything is configured at one level, and the other people, sorry, the other people should be able to access our database through host name. What is the host name of the server? What is the service name? What is the database of the database name? So every details into other persons, and they should be able to access your database. This is nothing but host based access.
Okay.
Suppose some host details they are giving, and we should be able to connect to through host name, service name, and followed by port.
Yeah, but if in every connection host name will be there, right? For example,
Yes.
if you're connecting by a SQL developer, it should have a host name, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But what is the difference between other three? Let's see.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So here, like client based. So client based is nothing but you are having some application, like your Java people are there, Java some segregated something. So whenever they want to access your database, it's like client to server connection. So your Java application is nothing but client, and between that there should be some network. They will use some details. They will use these details in their connection pool. So by means of that connection pool, they should be able to connect our database. This is nothing but client to server interaction.
Okay, but connection will be like based on the host name itself, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, but the types of connection, okay, client server. Okay.
Yeah, types, yeah. And next one is nothing but middle tier. So middle tier is nothing but suppose your application is there. So in between some like application servers, HTTP servers, something kind of thing. All these application servers are there. So in between that, there should be some network established between those things, and by means of their connection pool details, they will be able to access our database. So in between some application layer, middle like web layer, like all these will be there, right? Are you aware of this application server and HTTP servers? In the application side, they used to use, middleware people they used to use this HTTP servers and application servers. So they will use our database configuration details in their application server, and they should be able to access our database.
Okay, you're talking web services. Okay, so application to web services and web services to server. Okay, yeah, I got it.
Server, yeah, or server, yeah. And this is like we'll discuss this one when we are discussing with the data files and all.
Okay.
Yeah. And before going to discuss about our Oracle architectural components, so the basic components of our Oracle architecture E are like Oracle instance, Oracle server process, and Oracle database. There are three basic components which are available in the Oracle architectural components. Oracle process is nothing but, so these user process and server process will comes under our Oracle server process.
Okay.
And the second one is Oracle instance. So the whole part will comes under Oracle instance. Okay.
Okay.
And third one, whatever the parts like data files, control files, and DD logs will comes under Oracle database. So these three are the main components for our Oracle administration, like Oracle database.
Okay.
Yeah. So before discussing about all these parts like server process, instance, and database, I will give one example to understand all these things. Suppose you are you are a developer, or you are executing some select star from EMP. So so all this will comes into picture whenever you are executing a query in the client level. Suppose you are the user and you have executed select star from EMP, then user process will be invoked, and it will be connected to instance by means of server process. The user process will not able to connect directly with the instance. It has to process through our server process.
Okay.
What is the need of our server process? Here, for this server process, it will create some session ID for your connection to identify what is your what you are doing, what is your session ID. So Oracle will generate automatically a session ID in our Oracle view database tables.
Okay.
And then user process will be able to connect to our instance. Then here, suppose you execute a select star from EMP. Instance is nothing but our brain. It's like our memory. So what is in the memory? So suppose select star from EMP you executed. So then Oracle instance will directly check in the memory whether the query is executed previously or not. So this is the first time you are executing the query. Then it will not be available in our memory like instance. Then it has to physically go to our database and it has to retrieve the data from our tables. Okay. Then this operation will be performed through data files. Then so these PMON, SMON, database writer, log writer, checkpoint, and others, these are like background process to pick up the data from our database to instance. Okay. And then instance will give the data to user.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the operation will be performed whenever you are executing select star from EMP.
Okay.
Yeah. And suppose you are like another person is there, another developer is there. So he is also executing same kind of query, select star from EMP. So then again he will be interacted through user process, and user process cannot directly interact with your instance. So it has to go through server process. Then it will check in the instance whether this query is previously executed or not. Yes, it's previously executed. Then it has to retrieve the data from the memory. So there is no need to go to the data files and database and retrieve the data. So it's already available. I am already having this data. Then give the data to user process from the memory. It's the same kind of query. Yeah. Then it will give the data from the instance like memory itself. Suppose third person, he deleted some rows in the employee table. Okay. Then suppose delete star from EMP, delete star from EMP where employee ID equal to some value. Then again third person, he will be interacted through user process, server process, and then he will connect to instance. So in instance he will check whether this this query is previously executed or not. No, it's not previously executed, right? Delete from. So the plan, then it has to retrieve, then it has to go to our database and it has to delete our record, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Then suppose it's deleted the record. Now again fourth person is coming to the picture. The fourth person is performing the same operation like select star from EMP. Like
Okay.
developer 1 and developer 2, they perform select star from EMP. Then he will interact to the instance through server process and he will check in the instance like select star from EMP is previously executed. So why can't I get the data from the memory? So here, so whenever you are performing the delete operation on the employee table, the plan, like whatever the plan for this query will be changed. Okay.
Okay.
The
You're talking about
execution
execution plan.
Yeah,
Okay.
execution plan. So the execution plan for the query will be changed, and then it will say the plan is not like exact one, so we cannot give the data from the instance due to because of
Yeah.
deleted records.
Okay, but
Okay, then yeah.
okay. So you're saying that if there is change in records, execution plan will change?
Yeah, yes. The parse code and execution will be changed. The execution plan will be changed.
Okay.
There will be some ID that will be maintained by the Oracle. The parse code will be changed. So then we cannot give the data from the memory. You have to go and retrieve the data from the database. Then it will go to the database and it will check in the data file. So when it is checking in the data file, it has to follow 3 rules: availability, validity, and privileges. Availability is nothing but whether the data is available or not, and second one is validity. So whether he is the valid user and whether he is doing the valid operations or not. And third one is privileges. The user should have privileges to access the database. Then only the database will give the data from data files to instance. Otherwise, it will say like you are not the authorized user or your connection is not established, kind of thing. Okay? So this is the basic architecture. Suppose whenever you are executing the query, the operations will be internally will be managed by Oracle. We'll discuss each and every process one by one.
Okay.
Any doubts in this? Like we'll discuss what user process will do everything in detail. What shared pool, what is database, buffer cache, redo log, Java pool, large pool, and
Okay. And can you tell me about server process? Like how many types of server process are there? And
yeah, we'll come to that in the next slides we have.
Okay. Yeah. Please.
Yeah. So here Oracle server is nothing but consists of Oracle instance and then Oracle database. So Oracle server consists of Oracle instance and our Oracle database. If you see, it's a combination of Oracle instance and Oracle database. And what is an Oracle instance? Oracle instance is nothing but in order to access our Oracle database, it is a must and should one. And always it will be opens only one for one database. For one database, will be only one instance.
Okay.
So Oracle instance will consist of all the memory processes, like shared pool is the one of the memory, and database buffer cache, Java pool, redo log buffer cache, and large pool. These are all the memory structures. And the background processes are like PMON, SMON, process monitor, system monitor, database writer, log writer, checkpoint, and we have some other additional like CAG and ARC. So we have some other background processes. The combination of all these two is nothing but Oracle instance. So we'll discuss in detail about shared pool, what is shared pool and what is library cache and all. Before switching to all these detailed one, you understood, right, how our query is executing?
Yes.
Okay, good. And how we are establishing the connection? Suppose suppose our developer is there and he wants to connect to our database. So user process will be invoked, and so the user process will not connect directly with the Oracle server. It has to connect through our server process. Here, one session will be created, okay, which is nothing but session ID. whatever you are
Okay.
seeing in a GV session, like what is the session ID, whenever if you want, whether when he is doing some wrong operations, and whenever you want to kill that session, then you will use those details like session ID and followed by all these details. What is
So,
his module? Yeah.
and these coming from, and we can see the session ID from $G sessions, right? Session.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And what if in case of shared server process? Because this is you're talking about DSC, right? I mean, dedicated server process.
Yeah.
But what if in case of shared process it will be shared? So how can we see the same session ID in the $G session?
Yeah, for every connection there will be one session ID will be stored in the Oracle.
Okay, in case of both.
It's a mandatory one. Yeah, it's a mandatory one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. In case of both the dedicated and also for the shared server process, right?
Yeah.
This
Yes,
will be
yeah.
related. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's a mandatory one. We should store the SID in the database. It will be Oracle will taken care internally, but it will store one session ID in the database.
Okay. And okay, yeah. Go ahead, sir. No problem.
Yeah. And then next one is like Oracle database. So Oracle database is a collection of all these files. One is data files, control files, redo log files, parameter file, password file, and archive files. What is data file? So a data file is nothing but the physical representation of the data. So suppose you are inserting some data in your SQL Plus level or client level. So whatever the data that is coming from the Oracle server, that will be stored in the form of data files. Physically it is storing in the form of data files. Okay.
Okay.
And what is meant by redo logs? So suppose redo log is nothing but recovery purpose. So whatever the changes, previous changes, what you have done previously, whether you have deleted the records, whether you have dropped the tables, all the previous changes will be recorded in the form of redo log files.
Okay.
And next one is control files. Control file is nothing but heart of our like database. So whatever the recorded changes, like it will be stored in the form of binary file. So I'll show you one day like how the control file is storing all the data, how it is maintaining all the database names. So all these information will be stored in the form of binary format. What is the database name, what is the table space you are using, what are the data files details, what are the connection details, and everything will be stored in the control files.
But what do you mean by
binary format is nothing but Oracle understandable format. So if you want to see, you have to convert that file.
Okay, that's an encrypted format. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And next one is parameter files. Whatever the parameters which we are defining for our Oracle database, that will be stored in the form of parameter file. Like what is your database name, what is your instance name, what is your SGA, how much RAM you are allocating, what is your shared pool size. Every details will be giving in the parameter file.
Okay.
Next one is password file. If you want to maintain the password for your sys user, then it will be stored in the form of password file. For sys user, when you are creating the database, you will give some default name. But if you want to maintain the password, you have to use the password file. And
only for sys user. What about the other users?
Other user, it will be stored in the database. You cannot if you want to change, that will be stored in our database itself.
Okay, is this file binary or can we read it?
No, we cannot read. Once you ran the query, it will be stored in the password file. You cannot see that file. Yeah.
Okay.
You cannot see the password also. Yeah.
Okay.
And next one is archive log files. So whatever the changes coming from whatever the we have talked about redo log files, right? Whatever the previous changes, that will be recorded in the redo log files. Suppose the redo log is full, then it will throw some archives, it will throw all the data in the form of archive log files. So archive logs will be storing in a different location. It will also hold the same kind of redo log file information, which will be used for recovery purpose. Whenever you want to recover the data, Suppose I lost some table, I lost one table. So if you want to recover the data, then you will go for archive log files.
Okay, so for the recovering, we will use archive log files. What
Yes.
is the use of
Yeah.
redo log files?
Redo log file is nothing but it will be a set of files which holds only previous changes will be recorded here. If you put arclog mode enable, then only it will throw the changes into the arclog files. Otherwise, it will holds only the redo log files for certain time period only. Then it will be removed.
Okay, that means like we as a DBA we don't have any use with redo log files. Like we don't use really other than archive log files, right?
Yeah.
In case of we want to recover certain point of time, we need to use archive log files. There is no point in using redo log files. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Next one is physical structure. So physically, we are having 3 set of files like control files, data files, and redo log files. And what is our memory structures? So we have seen like our basic diagram like which holds the SGA. SGA is nothing but it's a memory component which will be used when you are starting up the database. At the time the SGA will be used. So SGA is nothing but memory component. How much memory that can be allocated for our database. Okay. Is anyone joined? Because sorry to interrupt you.
Hello. Yes, I'm here with you. You can hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Are you able to follow me?
Yeah, I'm following you. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. And next one is like program global area. So this program global area will comes into the picture at the time of server process. Suppose the user is there. The user will be interacting our instance through server process. At the time, some memory will be allocated. So the memory will be through PGA, program global area. Okay, you have seen in this architecture diagram. I will show you. Yeah, this one. So here the instance is there. Instance is a combination of SGA and SGA, and then PCA will come. See here, whenever the user process is interacting with the instance, the PCA will be allocated here. So these are all the operations will be performed internally through Oracle. So we cannot see all these operations, how it is connecting and all. So this is the architecture. So the SGA will be allocated at the time of instance startup. Whenever you are starting up the database, so the SGA will be allocated, and what is the memory which you have given, that will be used by the Oracle. In the parameter file, we discussed about parameter file, right?
Yes.
So in the parameter file, we'll define all these parameters, how much amount of memory it has to use and all. So with that parameter file, so the system global area will be allocated to the instance at the time of startup.
Okay.
And SGA is a combination of several memory structures like shared pool, database buffer cache, and redo log buffer cache. Okay. Shared pool is nothing but it will holds the like suppose you executed select star from EMP and it has fetched the data from the data files. So what I explained earlier. So when it is fetching the data from the data file, somewhere it has to store logically in the instance, right? So then shared pool will comes into the picture and whatever the plan report and everything will be stored in the form of shared pool. Okay.
Okay.
And then database buffer cache. Whenever the data is fetching from the database, so the data will not be directly given to the memory. So there will be like some background process will be there. The background process will retrieve the data from the data file. First it will place in the database buffer cache. Then From the database buffer cache, the changes and everything, the plan report and everything will be stored in the shared pool. From the shared pool, then that information will be given to the user process. Whenever the user process is executing the same type of query, it will fetch directly from the memory instead of going to data files and everything. So then database buffer cache will come into the picture. And next one is read log buffer cache. Read log buffer cache will come into the picture to record. We have discussed like read log files, right? So whatever the changes that will be recorded in the read log files will be handled through our one of the background process, and then that will be placed in the read log buffer cache. We'll discuss in detail about each and every parameters. And there are some like additional parameters like Java pool. Whenever you are using Java, some Java pool has to set, and large pool is nothing but whenever you are performing like large operations kind of thing, then large pool will become to the picture. And shared pool. What exactly will be stored in the shared pool? Suppose the user is performing one query. So whatever the most recently executed SQL statement and whatever the most recently used data definitions will be stored in the form of shared pool. Any doubts you are understanding, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Whatever the most recently used executed SQL statements or whatever the data definitions will be stored in the shared pool. Shared pool is a combination of two memory components like library cache and data dictionary cache. Okay. Library cache holds the most recently used executed SQL statements, and second one, data dictionary cache. Data dictionary cache will hold the most recently used data definitions. Okay. The shared pool will be set through the parameter like shared underscore pool underscore size, which has to define in the parameter file. Suppose you are giving SCA 4 GB. So out of 4 GB, you have to define for all the memory components like shared pool and shared pool, what is the library cache, data dictionary cache, and everything we need to take in the 4 GB. We need to maintain according to our parameters like database buffer cache, how much read log buffer cache. So out of 4 GB, you have to define for all these memory components. If you are not defining, that will be taken care by Oracle internally.
And every parameter is given in MB only, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you should mention M at the last.
Yes. Yeah. M for MB. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And library cache. So it's one of the parameter which is in the shared pool memory. So which stores the information about the most recently used SQL and PL SQL statements. So suppose you are executing a query, so that whatever the query that you have executed, so that has to store in the library cache. But it will be stored in the form of like what is the parse code and everything will be stored here. So whenever you are executing same query, the same passcode will be there. Then it will matches. Then it has to retrieve from the. Then it will check whether I have to retrieve the data from the memory or not. Okay, and enables the sharing of commonly used selector statements. Suppose you are executing same type of query, then it will be invoke this memory component. Is managed by the least recently used algorithm. What is meant by least recently used algorithm? You have given some memory for this library cache. Suppose you are frequently executing the queries like select star from MB, delete from MB, select star from MB, or updating the table and everything. Somewhere it will full write that memory component. Then it will whatever the least recently used algorithm, like whatever the stored, it will be managed by that algorithm and it will delete the old ones. Okay. The size of the library cache will be managed through our shared pool. Okay, whatever the size you are giving, that will be given to shared pool, that will be given to a library cache, and it will be divided across the library cache and the data dictionary cache. Okay. And next one is data dictionary cache. Data dictionary cache is nothing but it's a collection of most recently used definitions inside the database. It includes about database files, tables, indexes, columns, what is the privileges, and other database objects. Suppose when I am explaining about select star from EMP, it has to check before giving the data. It has to check some privilege like what is the availability, validity, and privileges. So everything will be checked here, data dictionary, whether the user is authenticated user or not, whether this data available in the data files or not, and whether this data is available in the data dictionary or not, whether this user is a valid user or not. Everything, all these checks will be performed in the data dictionary cache. Okay, and caching the data dictionary information into the memory improves the response time of the query. Suppose if you are maintaining the query in this data dictionary, then your performance of the query will be used. Suppose for the first time when you are executing the query, it took some 7 minutes like that. So second time it will be in the memory. Second time if other person is executing the same kind of query, so the response time will be reduced. So he may take less time compared to the previous one, right? The same kind of library cache, the size will be determined by the shared pool size. So whatever the size you are giving to the shared pool, that will be divided across the library cache and data dictionary cache. And next one is database buffer cache. It's one of the memory component in the SCA, which stores the copies of data bags that has been retrieved from the data files. Okay. Suppose whenever you are retrieving the data from the first time, you have to retrieve the data from the data files, right? So whatever the data that is retrieved from the data file, that will be stored in the database buffer cache in the form of blocks. These are all the blocks. Sorry, there will be some one more diagram will be there. So all these will be stored in the form of blocks. So that information will be stored in the form of blocks, so which can be understood by the Oracle only. So it enables the great performance gains when you obtain and update the data. So whenever you are performing some other DML operations, so we can gain the performance gain by setting up the database buffer cache. And it also managed through LRU algorithm, same as our library cache. The size of the database buffer cache will be defined through database block size. So this is the parameter which we need to set in the parameter file. Okay. And read log files. As I discussed earlier, like records all the changes made to the database in the form of data blocks. Whatever the data that is storing in the read blocks, that will be stored in the form of blocks in the data read log buffer cache. The main primary purpose is like it's for recovery purpose. Changes recorded within the redo log buffer cache will be called as redo entries. Redo entries will contain the previous changes, whatever the changes that you have done. Like suppose you deleted the records, you dropped the table, or you like you perform some truncate operations or something. All these changes will be recorded in the redo log. The size of the redo log buffer cache will be defined through the parameter like log underscore buffer will be the parameter which will be defined in the parameter file. Okay. So this is the redo log buffer. And next one is like PCA. So PCA will comes into the picture when server process is invoked. The user process cannot interact directly with the instance. So the user process interact with the instance by means of server process. Okay, there PCA will come into the picture. Memory reserved for each user process connected to an Oracle database. See, whenever the user is connected to instance, some component of memory will be allocated to user process. That memory is nothing but program global area. So allocated whenever the process is created. Whenever the user process connected to instance, then only the PCA will be allocated. Suppose if user is terminated, then the PCA will not PCA will be deallocated. Used by only one process. Okay, you are getting me?
Okay.
Yeah. And what are our process structures? So as we discussed earlier, we have three types of process. Like our Oracle process contains three types of process like user process, server process, and background process. User process will be started at the time of database user request connection to the Oracle server. Suppose the user process is nothing but one developer. One developer, whenever he is interacting with the Oracle server, the user process will be comes into the picture. The user process cannot directly interact with the instance, so then server process will be invoked, and server process will establish a session, and it will create some session ID. It will be stored in our database, and background process will be started whenever the Oracle instance is started. Suppose if the database is down, if a background process are running, there is no use. Right? So whenever the database is up and running, then only the background process will be invoked. Whenever you are starting the database, that time the background process will come in the picture and they will be invoked. Okay, user process, the program that requests the interaction with the Oracle server. So it is the process which can be interacted through the Oracle server process. Here, whenever you are entering some details like host name and everything in the TNS entry, and you are connecting through Toad to the Oracle database, whenever you like entering the username and password, the user process will be invoked, and it will be connected to instance by means of server process. It cannot directly interact with our Oracle server, so it has to connect through server process. But when you are connecting, you cannot see the server process and everything, so this will be managed by Oracle internally. And server process, the program that directly interacts with the Oracle server. So which is directly interacting with our Oracle server is nothing but server process. And it will take all the inputs coming from the user process, and it will also get the data from Oracle server, and whatever the results that we need to give to the user process, that will be maintained at the server process level. Okay. And coming to the background process, we have some background process will be invoked when we are starting up the instance, right? So the mandatory background process is nothing but DBWN is nothing but database writer, and LGWR is nothing but log writer, program monitor, system monitor, CKPD is nothing but checkpoint, RECO is nothing but recovery, and archiver and is nothing but job queue process. So these two are the optional ones. Whenever you are setting the archlog mode, then only archiver will comes into the picture, and these 6 parameters will be the mandatory parameters, mandatory background process. So whenever you are starting the database, all these background processes will start working. What is database writer? Okay, a database writer is nothing but it's a mediator between the database buffer cache and data files. So suppose you are initially executing the query, then it is the first time you are executing, then it has to retrieve the data from the data files. Then database writer will come into the picture, and it has to take the data from the data files, and it will place in the database buffer cache in the form of blocks. And then whatever the information like what is the passcode and everything will be stored in this library cache, and then the data will be given to the server process, and from server process the data will goes to the user process. Okay, so the database writer will write whenever the checkpoint occurs. Suppose this checkpoint I will discuss in the when we created the instance. Just assume like you are placing some request. So manually when you are placing some request, then database writer will write the data into the database buffer, and then dirty buffers reach to the threshold. If something is changed, like if it is full, 1/3 is full, then it has to write the dirty buffers. So whatever the information that is placed in the database buffer cache, will call them as a dirty buffers. Then the data will be written into data files. If there is no free buffers, if there is no space, then also it will write. Whenever the timeout occurs, whenever the table space is offline, whenever the table space is read-only mode. Table space is nothing but it's a logical representation of the data. So here we are seeing like the physically the data is storing in the form of data files, but logically Oracle maintains like logically it's storing in the form of table spaces, which can be understood by the Oracle. Okay, whenever you are dropping a table and truncate the table, database writer will invoke and it will write the dirty buffers. Okay, and next one is log writer. Log writer also invoked. It's a mediator between the redo log buffer cache and the redo log files. Whenever you are performing the commit, then the transaction is confirmed, right? Then it will invoke and it will write the redo log buffers. When 1/3 full, if it is 1/3 full, then also it will write. Before the database writer writes, before our database writer writes, it will perform. It will invoke first and it will write our redo log. For every 3 seconds, it will be defined. And next one is system monitor. It's also one type of a background process, so which will be used for instance recovery. Rolls forward all the changes in the redo log files. Open the database for user access. Rolls back the uncommitted transactions. First one is rolls back the uncommitted transaction is if you haven't committed the transaction before shutting our database, then it will be rolls back. Okay, you are following me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Whenever you are opening the database, then also it will be invoked and rolls forward the changes into the redo logs. Whatever the committed transactions and everything will be moved to the redo log files. This is the main purpose of the system monitor.
Okay.
And next one is process monitor, PMON. So it will cleans up the failed process and rolls back the transactions and releasing the logs. So PMON will come to the picture whenever you want to release the logs and rolling back all the transactions and all. Suppose you are shutting down the database. So in order to release all the logs, then the this PMON will come to the picture. Suppose if I want to shut down the database, if no one is using a kind of thing, then you have to shut down the database. Then if you have to release our logs, whatever the logs, connections and everything will be taken care by the program monitor. Okay. And then checkpoint. Checkpoint will be it's like for database writer and log writer. It will be signaling the database writer whenever the checkpoint occurs. Suppose say one kind of request which will be performed by the user. So whenever the checkpoint occurs, the database writer will write and whatever the updating the data file headers with the checkpoint information. So whenever the database writer writing, so there will be some header. Header will maintain some binary format of information. So the header also will be updated with the new information. And also it will update the control file whenever the checkpoint occurs. So this control file will be operate stores this information in the form of binary format. Whenever the checkpoint is placed, so the control file also will be updated with the new information in the form of binary format. Okay. And archiver. Archiver will be comes into the picture whenever the database is enabled in the archlog mode. So there is a two types of modes like no archlog mode and archlog mode. If you are if you don't want archives to be generated, you have to put it in the no archlog mode. If you want the archives to be generated and if you want to record all the previous changes and everything, then you have to put our database in the archlog mode. Suppose your database is set to archlog mode, then all the changes will be made to the database will be recorded in the form of archived log files. So then archive process will be invoked and it will manage all these files.
Okay.
So this is about our all the background process and SGA structures and what is the main purpose of our DBA, what are the tasks we need to discuss. So this is the main concepts and all. Any doubts so far?
Is there a like archived redo logs files, right? So is there a schedule for that one? Can we schedule those things like in SQL DBA? Like we have the transaction logs, we schedule like every 15 minutes based on the workload on the DBA. So
Okay.
is there a way we schedule this one, or like just the Oracle change do that one?
There is no schedule like this. So RK will record all the changes if you put your database in the RK log mode. So whatever the if redo log file is filled, then it will throw then RKO process will come to the picture and it will throw one RK log file for all these changes.
Only one arcade log file. Okay. So in case of recovery, how do you recover? Just update the backup first. I'm like restore the backup and then apply the archive redo log files one by one, or like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. While doing the backup, we have like RMAN concept is there, recovery manager. So whenever you are taking the backup, the recovery manager will take the backup of our archives also. So whenever there, in case of any recovery kind of thing, if you want to restore your database, so you have to mention support some sequence number, or if you know the time and everything, until time, until sequence, those concepts are there. So
Point of recovery. Okay.
yeah, by defining those parameters, then you can recover the database.
Okay.
Yeah, this is about our initial concepts and all. In the next class, we'll discuss how we can create the database, what is our next locations and everything, how is our table space will be defined and everything. So far, any doubts or?
No doubts, sir. Everything looks good for me.
Okay. Any changes to made like in case of any representation? Will it be fine, or do you need any modifications?
Yeah, this will be okay. But from the next class onwards, actually we want to install the Linux first, and those type of things we need, right? So we want to practice. So
Okay.
if you go into creating database, you should be telling about the Linux installation and how to install the Oracle database. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. We'll show all these concepts. Yeah.
Okay. So this is only the concept. You will explain the concept and then we'll go ahead and practical, right? Like,
Yeah. Yes. Sure. Yeah. So whenever after discussing these table spaces, then we'll see how we can create the database and how we can create our table space. Yeah. So this is for today. We'll wind up this call. We are good.
and